Over the years, more than 4,000 actors have walked on these sacred cobbles, but only a few have stayed to enjoy a lifelong street career. So what happens to the stars after they've waved goodbye to Weatherfield? Over the next half hour, we'll find out about the woman who walked out on Coronation Street.
Where is she, do you know?
I'm afraid I don't know, no.
I said, I'm going. You won't let me go properly. I'm going.
The actor who didn't want to go.
I wasn't happy about leaving because it was a job I enjoyed hugely.
And the character who keeps coming back.
I'll see you soon, Elizabeth.
If the phone rings, then, of course I'll bite their arm off.
We'll also hear from the blonde bombshell who made a sensational exit.
You should have stayed at the party, Maxine.
That's when it really hit me, I think, that I was going to be leaving all this behind.
And the former street resident who's found a more charitable path.
The more I found out about it, the more I was like, I don't want to actually just be a public face for this. I actually want to do something, and I want to make a difference.
As we tell the stories behind the stories, from 5 decades of the Corrie years. (2003), and the Earl and Countess of Wessex welcome their first child, Lady Louise.
Prince Edward couldn't have looked more comfortable as a new father.
The nation's muggles get excited over Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Oh, I feel amazing! I just can't believe it!
And one of Weatherfield's most famous sex symbols is about to come to a sticky end.
Hi, Emily!
What the hell are you doing?
Maxine was the eye candy of the street. She was a sexy little minx. She was a little pink bunny that wandered around getting all the attention from the guys.
Actress Tracy Shaw exploded onto the soap scene in May 1995.
The character, when she first came in, was only supposed to come in for 3 months.
This is Maxine. She works with me at the salon and she's staying with me while Steve's away.
Oh, hi. Hi. But I think the relationship with Fiona worked so well that they decided to keep her in, so whee! Good for me.
Maxine was there to stay, and off-screen the media couldn't get enough of the street's latest star.
Tabloids tend to latch on to the young girl in the cast who they think is the most sexual. Back in the 90s, it was Maxine. Tracy was incredibly attractive, so everywhere she went, there were paps, and people were courting her.
My kind of experimental years were while I was in Coronation Street, and therefore it was highlighted an awful lot, and I learnt from it.
On screen, Maxine was also earning a reputation.
She had pretty much gone through every man on the street.
We've got a good shaped head, really.
Oh, thanks. Well, you've got a good shape, well, all over, really.
And then when she got together with Ashley, it was to settle her down.
I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Ashley and Maxine together, you never thought it in a million years. But she did love him and he loved her.
I will.
I now pronounce you husband and wife.
Maxine and Ashley remained a popular on-screen couple for nearly 6 years. Their marriage would be tested by infidelity.
I'm pregnant!
Are you saying it's mine?
But survive against all the odds. But when Tracy's contract came up for renewal in 2002, she was ready to spread her wings.
I think I decided, you know what, I think I need to move on.
I sat down with Tracy and I said, listen, if you've got to go, do you mind going in the most spectacular, most jaw-dropping way possible? It was very important that we had a very high-profile actor and a high-profile character who was willing to be sacrificed in that way.
You should have stayed at the party, Maxine.
I think when you know someone's leaving and you do the final scene, it's not difficult to cry, to be honest. You're filming your last scene with someone that you've been working so closely with for such a long time.
That's when it really hit me, I think, that actually I was going to be leaving all this behind, and it had been part of my life for so long that it was going to feel very strange without Maxine.
As the nation said goodbye to Maxine, Tracy Shaw began a new chapter in her life.
I wanted to definitely go in to do some theatre because that's what I'd trained in for a couple of years. And the Blue Room came up and I just thought it was an amazing part for me.
The actress worked in a variety of theatre projects until 2005, when she gave birth to the first of her 2 children.
The one question that everybody asked is, well, what are you doing now? You're an at-home mummy. And I was an at-home mummy for a few years. I made that decision. It was lovely. But I am now back at work, and I have been for the last 3 years. It's all been theatre-based. The last 2 years I've been on tour up and down the country. It is like a dream to me because I have this wonderful family and my boys and everything's going well in my work. Yeah, I consider myself to be extremely lucky, and let's hope it continues.
1997, and Tony Blair takes charge of the country.
A victorious Labour Prime Minister at the gates of Downing Street, and a piece of political history.
The nation mourns Diana, Princess of Wales. And Coronation Street is about to bid a final farewell to one of its most popular characters.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes?
I don't know your name.
Oh, Derek.
Oh.
Derek Wilton.
Mine's Mavis Riley.
I know that.
Derek Wilton was a street favourite for 2 decades, spending much of that time as half of one of Corrie's best-loved couples.
You're the light of my life.
Together, Mavis and Derek proved to be a very good ingredient in the recipe of Street.
They were a pair of eccentrics with their feet off the ground somewhat, and they rarely came down to earth.
Arthur! He's gone again!
And I think they did see themselves a bit better than some of their neighbours, which didn't make life easy for them.
In case you wonder why I went, I'll not be stuck down in cement.
I thought Peter Baldwin was superb as Derek.
Fit for life, Norris? Fit for life, Dirk.
All that indecision and the feeble jokes.
Good health, Desmond.
Yes, cheers.
Oh, what's that in your beer?
My God, it's a spider. I hate spiders.
And the discomfort if he felt he'd put a foot wrong. He portrayed all this magnificently.
But 20 years after Derek's first appearance, plans were being hatched off-screen to end his happy marriage.
In an ideal world, maybe I would never leave your side.
The decision to kill off Derek Wilton was actually taken by producer Sue Pritchard. It was her last conference. And then Brian Park came in as producer, and he was credited with the decision to kill off Derek.
I had a meeting in his office, which I thought was going to discuss the coming year. I'd only just signed a contract, so there was no reason to believe anything else. And he told me that they were going to kill me off, which I was a bit shocked.
And the public were just as surprised by the decision to axe Derek.
There was a huge uproar. I remember the phones ringing all the time. The mailboxes were rammed full of letters and complaints. People were very, very angry.
What's your problem, pal?
Despite the viewers' pleas, Derek Wilton died of a heart attack in April 1997.
Here, hang on, you! Look what you've done!
I wasn't happy about leaving, because it was a job I enjoyed hugely. First 3 years after I left, there was a great deal of work offered on television, on stage. I did 2 musicals in that time, even.
But Peter Baldwin had another passion that he'd pursued since childhood.
When I was a boy, I started collecting toy theatres, and then I discovered Pollock's Toy Museum. When I wasn't acting, I'd go and work there.
When the owner decided to sell her Covent Garden toy shop in 1988, Peter was waiting in the wings to take over, and is still fondly recognised to this day.
I can see people sort of talking amongst themselves or behind their hands, you know. Is that? No. Well, I'm sure it is. No. Excuse me, are you? Yes, I am. I am proud of the work I do because it's something that's been with me for all my life. It's part of my working life, theatre. It's part of, you know, what I do as a pastime. So I'm jolly lucky.
Coming up on the Corrie Years, we meet the actress who turned her back on the street.
I'm very sorry, and I will say ashamed as well to do that.
And discover that it's a dog's life for Adam Rickett. ...2004, and it's the end of the line for Britain's mail trains.
Tonight, the last of these rolling workshops will make its final journey.
Prince Harry spends part of his gap year volunteering at a South African orphanage. And in Weatherfield, a street heartthrob prepares to move on.
It can't be.
What?
Is that Nick?
In 1997, Coronation Street got a new producer in Brian Park.
It's Nick!
And he recast Nick Tilsley and brought in Adam Rickett purely for the for value.
They just hired Paul Nicholls as this, eye candy for the girls on EastEnders, and Corrie kind of wanted to do the same thing. So that's, I guess, why they got me.
Who was that?
Yeah.
I'd started on the show in July, and I think Adam started around September.
Excuse me. Hi, you live at number 5, don't you?
And I always remember he was walking down the corridor, looking like a pop star, singing. And his hair was swishing in the wind.
I'm Leanne.
Yeah, I know. All was going fine and well and lovely and dandy, and was doing all these photo shoots for, girly magazines. And then suddenly, there wasn't an episode, I think, when Nikki wasn't topless. Which, to be honest with you, was just really embarrassing.
Hey, Nick! Give us a flexi muscle!
I felt quite sorry for Adam at the time, because it was like, get your top off, show your six-pack. Which, believe it or not, he was quite shy about.
Just one piece of advice.
What?
Forget about your body.
Right, yeah.
Adam Rickett brought a sexy new look to the street, but decided to leave the series after just 18 months.
I knew if I was going to do anything else as an actor, I was going to get seen as Nick Tilsley every single time I stepped on screen or on stage.
You can turn back, you only have to say.
No. My life is finished.
So my then manager was Take That's our manager, and his idea was, we'll get you to be a pop star.
Adam scored 3 hit singles. But back on the cobbles, when his on-screen mother married Richard Hillman, he returned to play the dutiful son.
I popped back for a few weeks in 2002 when Gail got married, and the producers approached me and said, would I come back full-time? It was never going to be more than for, a year and a half or 2.
The actor finally left Coronation Street in July 2004 and worked as a PR consultant and journalist. There was also talk of him standing for Parliament in 2006, but before then he decided to take on one last acting role thousands of miles from home.
I basically went to New Zealand because Shorten Street, a TV show out there, had contacted me and said, would you come across and do it for 3 months? And I was like, well, do you know what, that's perfect. And then, my life kind of changed a bit. It turned into everything I ever wanted to do professionally as an actor.
Adam Rickett's 3 months playing bad boy Kieran Mitchell turned into 3 years, after which he returned home to the UK.
When I came back, I was getting offered roles for TV here and stuff, and my problem was I still had rose-tinted glasses. It was kind of like, well, it's not going to be as good as Shorten Street was. So I kind of realised I needed to take a break from it all in order to either rekindle my passion for it or move on entirely to whatever the next chapter is in my life.
That next chapter came with a phone call from the RSPCA.
They approached me and said, look, we've got this big, huge appeal coming up to build our first ever national hospital. Would you be the public face of it? The more I found out about it, the more I was like, I don't want to actually just be a public face for this. I don't want to be just some celebrity. I actually want to do something, and I want to make a difference. So I joined the charity and as their appeal manager. I do find it incredibly rewarding. It just gives me an opportunity to give something back. I'm really proud of my time in Coronation Street. It led to what was a really great career, and at the same time it's also led me to finding myself who I am now.
1971, and the country gets to grips with decimalisation.
The new decimal currency will be with us on Decimal Day.
Protesters march against Britain joining the common market. And a Coronation Street actress is about to walk out on Weatherfield.
Now don't sit down. Go and get
The
shaved.
Ogden family arrived on Coronation Street in 1964, with actress Sandra Gough playing the part of Hilda and Stan's sassy daughter, Irma.
Tongue, salmon.
I think my mum's stocking up for a seed.
Well, Irma was very easygoing, carefree, cheeky, but sort of in an understated kind of way so that she could get away with it.
The Ogden soon embedded themselves in the street, with Irma marrying David Barlow, played by actor Alan Rothwell.
After about 4 years of us working together, he said he was fed up and he wanted to leave. And he said, but I won't leave, because if I leave, you'll have to leave. I, one day, just went up to him and said, right, come on, we're going to the producer. We'll tell them we're leaving.
Take care of yourself.
I will.
God bless.
Right, don't forget to look after her.
The couple left the Cobbles in 1968. But when a tragic car accident cut the Barlows' new life short 2 years later...
They say David died 10 minutes ago.
Irma returned to Weatherfield alone.
Stand on, then. On me flaming table.
Our kid.
Dad.
But off-screen, Sandra Gough was having a turbulent time in her personal life.
My mother had a bone disease and she was very, very ill. I asked them for months and months, please write me out, please write me out. Then in the end, just I finished filming one Friday and I never went in on the Monday.
You mean she just went off like that?
That's right.
Did she say where it was she was going? All she said was she was going to stop with a friend for a bit.
I'm very sorry, and I will say ashamed as well to do that. That's a very bad thing to do.
As the storylines were quickly rewritten, the actress's disappearance became a national talking point.
That was in all the papers. Oh, she's missing, nobody knows where she is. I phoned and told them. I said, I'm going. You won't let me go properly, I'm going.
But 13 years later, Sandra was to make her soap comeback, not in Weatherfield, but across the Pennines in Emmerdale. First as barmaid Doreen Shuttleworth.
Well, you know, I'm always flaring up and going up. I'm like a firework.
Oh.
Stop!
And then in 1995 as Nellie Dingle.
Are you messing about with them pigs again?
Sandra has now retired, but she can look back on a career which has included roles in two of the most successful shows on television.
Some people say to me, oh, you made me laugh, you know, on the television. That's nice.
Is it kiss-proof?
I don't know. I have very fond memories of Irma. I loved it.
Right, go up, give him a big kiss and we'll see if he comes.
It's the year 2000, and detectives foil the world's biggest diamond heist.
The police had been tipped off and were waiting for the gang.
Ken Livingstone becomes London's first elected mayor. And the street's most famous Irishman is about to make the first of many exits. In 1989, Soldier Jim and wife Liz arrived in Weatherfield as part of the MacDonald family.
Yeah?
Hi. Listen, sorry just to drop in on you like this, but we just seen your house in the estate agent's window. I was wondering if we could have a wee look around. Corrie's sort of driven by the women most of the time. There's not many men in inverted commas in it, and they wanted one. And I guess I fitted the bill.
Give over, you'll smudge my makeup. Anyway, we should be going.
Right. Well, I shall have my wicked way with you when we return.
Lots of viewers say he's a real man in the street, you know, and he is. That's the way he is, and I think that's why the viewers like him so much.
Jim would be involved in some dramatic storylines over the next decade. But by the turn of the millennium, the plots were wearing thin.
The writers were bored with me, and I was bored with what was coming across the desk. I said, look, why don't we just call it a day and see what happens in the future? So we agreed to part company.
Following his altogether less friendly parting with Jez Quigley, Jim MacDonald was sentenced to 8 years in jail. But Charlie Lawson knew that this wasn't the last viewers would see of him.
It was made plain to me that I would be back. I got 2 jobs before I left, so I was looking forward to it immensely. I was going straight into the West End with a cracking play, so I was looking forward to it very much, and I did a movie.
Then in 2003, Charlie made the first of 7 journeys back to the Cobbles.
Who's this?
Karen, this is my dad. One of the writers pitched an idea, and it just involved Jim going on the run from prison.
I just thought it sounded like a riot, you know what I mean? It sounded like real good fun.
No. Look, I'm not a suitcase, I'm a human being.
Dad, get in there!
Kieran said, would you fancy doing it? And then he said, by the way, he said, you'll be snogging Julie Goodyear. Oh, no, it's the police.
Give us a kiss. What? Come on. Now, be gentle with you. Don't be scared.
I thought, right, well, that's something for your CV, you know what I mean?
Back?
You've learned a few tricks in that prison.
While Charlie has come and gone over the years, it was the departure of his on-screen wife in 2011 that led to one of Jim's most gripping exits.
Here's to us.
To us. We wanted to make that as big and dramatic, but also as heartbreaking as possible.
Put £120,000 in the bag now.
It was an ordinary guy who was trying to win his wife back, who just couldn't help kind of reverting to type and doing something very reckless.
Everything he does or did was always for Liz.
Jimmy.
What are you doing?
Trying to get the money for the pub.
I know how much it meant to you, and Steve and the kids.
He didn't want the money himself, he wanted it for his family. Bloody stupid way of going about it, of course, but there you go. You're left with the impression that he's crazy about her and always will be, you know.
Let's have him up. Elizabeth, I'm sorry.
Today, Charlie still finds himself occasionally picking up a gun as part of his working day, but now it's to help stock his partner Debbie's farm shop.
Debbie, having started the business, it's enabled me to a certain degree, pick and choose what I do, which is great after all these years. Once an actor, always an actor, and if the phone rings, I'm always interested, and I'm just as excited as anybody else to be working. If I can be an actor and I can go to the races and I can shoot over the winter and combine all three and wash them down with very fine red wine, then I'm a happy bunny.
So there you are now.
Even the Major's life is never going to be the same again. Just how will his family cope? Homefront continues next here on ITV1.